morning and welcome to The Point. It is Thursday, August 12th, 2021. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11 and 20. Good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9 and all the folks joining us on Party Grenada and Go to Fet Facebook pages. Always a pleasure to have you. This morning I am joined by a senator or representative of the Farmers and Fisher Folk community in the Senate, the Honorable Roderick Clair. And later on in the program, we will be joined by a Dr. Donald Beggs, and he will be coming on to tell us some more information in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, the virus, and answer some of the questions that you may have. And he is one of the a medical doctor, and he can tell us more about himself when he comes on. But it's really to give you an opportunity to ask some questions, and you can get it from somebody who is, let's say, not politically influenced or affiliated. So first, let's speak with Senator St. Clair. Good morning, sir. How are you? Since the last time we've spoken, how have you been?
Well, I think I'm okay. With God's grace, I am here today, feeling, new as ever. Continuing, you have a few little tiring days in between, but I find a lot of time to rest, relax, and sort of do things that the mind would not find tiring. That's what I would say. And I want to say good morning to all our fishers, the farmers, the folks in the flour industry. I know you are there. I know Mr. Frank and others in his team, the agro-processors, and all my stakeholders, and to the administrators, I would say also within the government system, other stakeholders in the civil society who are contributing towards our whole food security and economic development of this country. Mm-hmm.
Good, lovely. All right, so let's look at, since the last time we've spoken, what have you been up to in relation to representing fishermen and farmers in the Upper House of Representatives, and maybe some of the accomplishments that you've had since the last time?
Yes, well, accomplishment I would say is basically getting more work done. I would say it has been good going. The farmers and fishers has been there. We've been at the beck and call. I would say I had some dialogue and meeting with the police farm watch in St. Patrick's. That was an excellent meeting, and so there are some outcomes from that I need to be connecting with the Minister of Agriculture and the Pre-Lasting unit. That was a very efficient meeting by the team up in Sotez. They exist, I think, well over 10 years. I think it's one of the strongest unit in Grenada right now. So that was a very good meeting. I actually was supposed to attend a meeting Tuesday in Guav regarding Pre-Lasting again on the farm watch. That has been postponed to next Tuesday coming. And of course, only this morning I was speaking to another good lady, one, I think her name is Trisha Simon, who is working along with the police in our own capacity, pushing the whole issue of Pre-Lasting and control. And so they want, my presence, of course, out in the Granora area. So that we're trying to schedule to do very soon. The Poultry Association, as you know, have been going through some very difficult times. Finally, on last Wednesday, I think it was, last Thursday, we were able to have a sort of steering management committee in place so that they can able to chart the way forward, because, for the past year or so, you had basically the president operating single-handedly, and that is not healthy for any organization. So I think we have made great progress, and I know they had a meeting already, and we'll hear more from that. At the same time, I know the government has been yielding based on some requests that we've been working on previously to provide some support there. So this, we see that as a very good news. In addition, we had a consultation organized by the Ministry of Trade looking at the whole review of the poultry industry and how they can better support it, bearing in mind the issues with feed, bearing in mind the issues of the poultry policy. And, we had persons from the supermarket, distributors, the farmers themselves, myself, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Trade, and his team. So it's a very good meeting. And the outcome of that, we'll have a small committee that I'm going to chair out of the meeting to look and see at each of these operators, what are the key challenges that they are facing? What are some of the interventions that are needed? Because sometimes, you go to government and say, government, we need this, government, we need that. But there need to be a framework. There need to be an organized way in how you do things. So that we want to work on. So the supermarkets, I would expect to see what are the issues, what are the collaboration, what are the interventions, and we do that across all the participants, and so that we're able to come in a common position for the different areas, so that government can better able to say, okay, I can support here, I can support here. Even among the actors within the whole value chain can say, well, I can give here, I can give there. So this year, we expect to have some outcome, by early September, to back to the minister on this matter. The issue of the freight, that continues to be a burning issue. We keep speaking about we need to increase source of production in particular. And we're doing all of those things on the ground, but we have no mechanism for exporting it. And so I had a discussion with Mr. Richard Strawn of the Airlift Committee only this week. And I know he has a meeting with the Minister for Tourism, Aviation sometime today. And I trust that there will be some headway. We had some discussion. I shared some thoughts as to some modalities they can look at in terms of, because we have to be more innovative, Blossom, in the way that we do things. We have to look at the policies that exist, but we also have to look and see what are the new policies as policymakers that we need to make to be able to cause it to happen. Otherwise, the farmers will suffer, no export will be taking place, and all these are issues. So at the parliament level, we had 3 motions in the last sitting. Of course, as the news habit, Minister Steele, Senator Steele, and his team always come back with some sort of modification of those motions. But, it's a work in progress. We have to work together to get things done. And sometimes you may not get all that you need at one time. And so we speak about how do we get more resources for the police, because the police need more resources to be able to address pre-larceny. I've seen recently Grenville has gotten 2 vehicles. I think St. Patrick's get 1 vehicle on the western side. So there has been an increase with the vehicle sense, and we are very happy for that. We know that we need more, especially manpower on the ground. So whilst they will do their reviewing and all of those things, at least we see some level of traction. We also speak about the issue of having a fishing school. This is very important. As folks would know, back in the revolution, we had one, and that has since gone defunct. We need to go back there. Fishing as the #1 export in this country, bringing well over $27 to $30 million a year. We need to see how do we support it and build capacity of the younger ones. So this, I think we commit from the Senate to have the Ministry of Education review the role of TAMCC, review the role of any other opportunities or institution that can able to facilitate this information transfer for our fisher folks and building the industry. We also had a discussion on the whole issue of price control of key agriculture inputs, because that has been skyrocketing. Despite what we are seeing with the increase in freight and all of those anomalies, we still have that issue of the margins that the input suppliers will bring. Of course, you would say, well, let the fisher folks and the farmers form themselves into groups and do those inputs. But, if you look at what is going on, we seem to, every time we face some problem in the agriculture sector, we say the farmers need to be more business-like. The fishermen need to be more business. They need to go and do this. But when you have challenges in other sectors, you see we quickly put money into them, or we quickly create some intervention into them, and we leave the poor farmers alone. And that cannot happen. We need to sit down. If you don't know how, let's sit down with you, and we'll sit down and try and find solutions. Some burning issues that is popping up on us right now, the whole issue of the sargassum. That is really creating a problem not only for the fisher folk, but the guys with the CMAS. That's a big issue. That I have addressed through some questions to the Senate, and that is already in. We also have another burning issue of the farm machinery program, which was closed down in Maribo. And I find it's very funny that Carriacou and Petit Martin could have a thriving industry with farm machineries. It's the same government, same country, and Grenada basically shut down over 3 years now, and we can't seem to start back. So every time we seem to have a problem, we seem to just turn away and say, let's private sector handle it. It's the same thing we do with the government estate. We say, let private sector handle it, the government can handle it. And if you ask for a report right now, and what has really happened with the government estate is worse off today than what it was when the government had it in control. So government need to give itself some credit, but they need to sit down and say, look, who can help me? And how can we do things better and be more open the suggestions and involvement of others so as to support the way forward. So I also have two motions that I've also submitted back. Remember, we had a motion that was temporarily withdrawn regarding the issue of timelines and so on, because we need those things. Otherwise, we have no performance, no accountability, and farmers and other persons in the citizens have been basically, I would say, shortchanged from things that really should happen if we keep monitoring and following up. So we have a motion that we are retooled and resubmitted, and that is already in and approved by the president and for debate in the next sitting. And we also have another one for the reinstatement of the farm machinery pool. We cannot let these other things and them sit by. And we have many other things to address, but this is kind of where we are right now, to give you a quick synopsis.
Looking at the sargassum seaweed, there have been a lot of discussions how we can use that, especially in the agriculture industry, whether it's as fertilizer or otherwise. Have any discussions been held or headway made in at least using the sargassum to our benefit?
Well, I know there have been some discussion that took place early in the game. Currently, I would not be able to tell you exactly what is the current situation in that angle. I know farmers might do things individually. I'm aware that there was some discussion with some project involving New Zealand or something like that to see how we can do something with the sargassum. I am aware that some announcement was made regarding some equipment from Japan. But while all of these things are going on, as I drive through Sobeys only a few days ago, you see over 1 week or 2 weeks ago, the sargassum invasion came. And as it comes, it remains there, and then it just decay, and the whole scent in the area, I thought blossom, not necessarily, and I may have to use the bushing as a similarity. The sargassum is a weed, just like bush. Why can't we pay the same fishermen and the seamen who have the little boats to get secure certain areas that you pay them some money, they get 2 or 3 persons on a boat, and they find a mechanism or some net or something and sort of trap this and harvest it out quickly when it's fresh and it's coming ashore, rather than just leave it like, what for me is very difficult as an individual, Blossom, is when you realize something is happening, something needs to be done, something could be done if also engaged with others. And so maybe out of the $14 million for the bushing, that's a different discussion which we could talk about, because I alluded to that on the program in Godfrey last night, that the Solid Waste Authority is complaining of the amount of organic matter that is going into the landfills, and we have challenges with this landfill. So I want to know, why are we increasing the amount of organic matter that's going to end up over there, when we can maybe look and see how we can use that same debushing bush and also do some organic fertilization with it. I'm saying similarly, we can maybe need to put $2 million or $3 million over a period, which could be paid to fishermen and other persons we want to employ accordingly, to harvest all this sargassum, to create a pathway so that our seamen thriving industry can survive, and of course our fishermen could operate them unattendedly. So this is why I say sometimes we have to find some innovation. There is no law saying that cannot be done. It's how we think and how we engage. So I hope that the authorities can listen and those things can be retooled to solve those pertinent issues. Because while bush is cutting on the side of the road, sargassum is growing on the sea. It's the same agriculture and food sector.
We're getting ready to welcome onto To The Point this morning, Dr. Donald Beggs. As I welcome him onto the platform, just share with us, Senator St. Clair, why you thought it important that we bring Dr. Beggs onto the program this morning.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And we sent you some PowerPoint slides. I hope you have. I sent yesterday, so you may want to refer to them. I think I sent it to you.
I did. Let's hope.
Yeah. Good. Thanks. Now, the rationale and justification is that I have realized the challenge that we face as a country regarding this whole issue with COVID. Definitely, as an individual, as a policymaker, I know my constituents is speaking about 10,000 plus farmers, another 2,000, 3,000 fisher folks, plus their families and so on. We're speaking of almost 30,000 or more individuals in this country who are involved in the sector. And as their representatives, they are hearing things from all over, all different places. And I personally believe that one of the major approaches, as I would have alluded in the parliament, that we need to have persons go to their family doctor. We need to have set up a mechanism where our community doctors can communicate with individuals because they are trusted sources. Politicians are not medical doctors. Of course, unless you're a medical doctor who is a politician. You know, politicians, even if you're a medical doctor, people question, for their own gain. So we need to find that professional engagement. I think we have failed as a country in doing that. So that is my initial comments on that. However, I think as one who have that level of representation, I need to do my duty. And outside of having taken the vaccinations myself, I thought it fit that I can do my part by connecting with the doctor, and I must say Dr. Beggs, I mean, for folks who know me, would know him, is like a brother. We grew up together, and it's not because of that. Because during I invited him to this stay here, we had some debates as to different concepts and concerns that he may have and to share, you know, and he's free. He's a professional operating out of the US, and we respect his views. And so I wanted to create this platform so that persons can call in, people can find out from him, he can share from where he sits to create that additional information. It's not a social media intervention. It's not what source is that? It's from a true and a valid source. Dr. Beggs, he will tell you, he's a son of the soil. He has trained in SU, as many of our doctors. So he also has his reputation within which to keep, and he will defend that in his own space. So that is the rationale and the background, Blossom, for making my contribution. But I want to say before Dr. Beggs comes in, I think that the way also that we put this needle on the TV is also something that we have to be mindful about, because I have taken the vaccine. In fact, when I went to take my second vaccination, by the time I sit down, I didn't ask the nurse, are you finished? She said, I done with you long, you know. I say, wow. Because I didn't even realize it happened so quick, so easy. You know, but sometimes when you see these long needles, people feel, well, is this 5-inch needle that is going on in their body? Could you imagine that? We have taken vaccines in different ways, different type of injections, and I don't think that is how it goes down in our body. So this is another issue that I thought I would show. So anyways, we don't take it much of the time. This is not really, I'm not no specialist in that. I'm here to support the discussion. Thank you and welcome, Don. Yes.
Well, let's at this point say good morning and welcome to Dr. Beggs, who is joining us virtually this morning. Thank you, sir, and welcome to the program.
Yes, hi. Good morning, Blossom. Good morning, Senator. Good morning to your audience at large, Creator Kariku Kidimatnik. And thank you for having me on, and pleasure meeting you.
A pleasure to have you as well. So just for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, just identify yourself, Dr. Beggs, and how should I put it, what makes you qualified to share some of your thoughts with us and answer some of the questions that our viewers and listeners may have.
Yeah, well, I'm a medical doctor here in Jersey. I'm based in Jersey. I do infectious disease, and I'm originally from Ladig, St. Andrews. And been in practice for the last 28 years. I started off in the General Hospital in 1993, and I've been in Jersey here for the last 28 years. So nice to join your program.
Thank you very much. So let's start with a general synopsis. In the meantime, viewers and listeners, you can call in or message us for questions related to the COVID-19 pandemic, any question that you may have, and Dr. Beggs will do his best to answer. The landline number, 435-2041. That's also the WhatsApp number. Again, only written messages on WhatsApp, and you can post your questions or comments on Facebook and YouTube. In the meantime, while our viewers and listeners gather their thoughts, Dr. Biggs, overall, your thoughts on the COVID-19 pandemic? Vaccination continues to be a major talking point among members of the public. Just share with us your ideas.
Yeah, thank you. Let me take the liberty to commend yourself and the senator for doing your utmost to try to bring the message out there to the people. So my commendations to both of you.
Thank you.
So my sense, Blossom, is fundamentally it's much more advantageous for us as an island to try to prevent COVID than having to deal with treating COVID. Because it's a very formidable proposition. It's an economic burden, it's a social burden, it's a medical burden. So it's far better to try to prevent it than to try to treat it. So that's a fundamental point. And I think in this endeavor, every Grenadian should endeavor to do their part in trying to not contract COVID and try to limit the spread of COVID. We've seen some islands with more advanced healthcare systems having to use field hospitals. Some have to convert hotels into hospitals. So it's something we really, really don't want to go down that path. We've seen images in the United States where people have to use trucks outside of the hospitals because the morgues are filled. I had patients here on the dying beds, and you had to risk your life to go in to do a little FaceTime with their families before they passed away. So it's far more advantageous to try to prevent than try to treat COVID. And every Grenadian should be on Team Public Health Grenada and try to do their part, do their endeavor to not go down that line. The vaccines are out, but the potential benefits of the vaccines far outweigh the potential risk or adverse events. So says the World Health Organization, so says the Center for Disease Control, so says the European Medical Agency, so says the WHO. So all the major medical associations have vetted these vaccines and said that the potential benefits far outweigh the potential risks. Now, there are caveats for each type of vaccine, and we can go into this a little later, but that's my sense of what's facing us. It's far better to prevent it, and the bedrock of all the prophylactic measures we have is the vaccine. So a good, strong, comprehensive national vaccine program is what Grenada CARICOM Philopatrick needs. So I will support a good vaccination program.
All right, we have.
Now, I don't know if I had a few slides. I don't know if you want to just show. We could go ahead and show the.
In a short while. Let's take this caller first. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Well, I'm traveling to the UK on Monday. I had my jab already. I was one of the first set that take. What do I have to get again, or what I have to take as Medicare for traveling?
All right. Thank you, caller. The person is traveling, leaving the island on Monday, and they would like to know what else they need to do to prepare to leave the island in relation. They are vaccinated, and they want to know what else they need to do to prepare to leave the island. I think that depends on what the airline and the country needs, UK needs. What are their requirements?
So specifically, I would not be able to tell him exactly. He's better off contacting his local health facility or go online and see what the destination country requirements are. But as a broad sense, you want to make sure you're double vaccinated. If you assume he's doing the Covishield, so he has to have his 2 vaccines. Most countries will request a test prior to coming on board, and then you probably have to get tested after you land. But the specifics, you'll have to find it out with his own healthcare facility down there. And wear your mask.
Yes, each country has their own requirements, so you may need to the safe bet. Should I say safe bet? But the easiest one would be to Google it. The requirements to land in the UK. I know you need to be wearing your masks, hand sanitizing, as well as fully vaccinated to board some, if not all, flights. So just double check with the UK and see what their requirements are.
Yeah, and I know you have to take the PCR. There's some tests you have to take either negative, or have a negative PCR.
Either PCR or rapid.
negative.
You're right.
Yeah, something like that.
You
Yeah.
just need to verify. Somebody on the WhatsApp, Dr. Beggs, is asking, making a statement and then asking, for months we've been asking what are the ingredients in the COVID-19 vaccines. Doctor, can you help?
Right. So it's no mystery. Everybody knows what's in it. So it's essentially it's a for the Covishield, which is what you use in there, I suppose. AstraZeneca type Covishield vaccine. It's a viral vector vaccine. So essentially, it's a adenovirus. It's a type of common cold virus that's wrapped up in a fat bundle, which is called polyglycol, and there's some preservatives in there. There's some normal saline, there's some sucrose, there's some magnesium, and I think a little bit of alcohol. So that essentially is what's in the vaccine. It's just the adenovirus, which acts because all these vaccines, has it's like a postman delivering a message to your cells. So the viral vector type vaccines, the virus is a postman, and in the postman there is this message that gives your cells the letter. So you can go ahead and make what's called a spike protein. And there's a slide that, we can show later. So what's in the Covishield? This adenovirus, which is a postman that brings a message to the cells. There is a little bit of fat that is wrapped up in it, and there are some preservatives like sucrose, which is basically sugar water, salt water, I think a little bit of ethanol, a little bit of alcohol, and I think some magnesium. So, you could always go online and find out exactly what it is, but that's the crust of what's in the vaccine.
All right. No landline. So somebody on the WhatsApp is asking, I'd like to find out if there are any categories of persons who should not take the vaccine.
Right. So good question, fair question. And every time you do the vaccines, you probably should have a risk-benefit discussion. You can get it with your personal doctor at the point of service. Again, most people, the vaccine is safe and effective, and the potential for harm is much less than the potential for benefit. But if you think you have some reservations about the particular type of vaccine, that's fair enough. Express that reservation, say exactly what you think the problem is, and I'm sure your physician, your personal doctor could help you, or at the point of care at your local medical facility, they probably could help you. But the only absolute contraindication to these vaccines is if you have had an allergic reaction, a severe allergic reaction to any one of the ingredients, and we just mentioned a few of the ingredients. That's the only absolute contraindication to this vaccine. If you know you had an allergic reaction to anything that's make up of the vaccine, then you shouldn't take it. Now, there is, and maybe it's a good time to bring that in. So there are three things we probably should distinguish. There is a reaction to the vaccine, which is called reactogenicity, meaning after you get the vaccine, the first 2-3 days, it shouldn't be more than 2 to 3 days, the immune system sort of send a single signal to your body saying that there's a foreign body, there's an intruder in the system. So you get a little fever, you get a little sweat, you get a little fatigue, you want to sleep. So that's a normal reaction to the vaccine, okay? So that's not a contraindication. That's just your immune system, just meeting up with the foreign intruder, which is the spike protein, and just signaling into your body, yes, I know there's an intruder in here. Now, the allergic reaction is something that happens a little bit more immediate, within a few minutes to half an hour to an hour after the vaccine. So that's why I think most cases, and I think maybe down on the island, they observe you for half an hour after you got a vaccine. So that's the difference from the allergic reaction, the reaction to the vaccine itself, and then later on there could be adverse conditions. With the AstraZeneca Covishield type, there is observed a statistical tendency towards some clots. It's not the regular type of clots. It's different types of clots, a special type of clots. It usually happens, within 2 to 2 weeks after the vaccine. And I think at point of care, a discussion should be had with the patients if they're at risk. Some studies have put younger patients a little bit more at risk, or your doctors will know what else would be put you at risk for that special type of clots, because it's not the usual type of clots that we have. It's a different risk factors, it's different management, it's different presentation. So people who've had instances of these special type of clots, it's usually induced by a drug called heparin. So we shouldn't go into that now. The doctors will know, and it's associated with a low platelet count, which are blood cells that in your system that help in clotting. So if you've had these kind of conditions, you probably should have a benefit risk discussion before you jump and take it. But the only absolute contraindication is if you have a severe allergy to any ingredient in the vaccine itself.
Let's go to the landline. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning. I would like to know if there are any alternatives to the PCR test and if they're offered in Grenada.
All right. Doc? Alternatives to the PCR test.
I cannot speak too much about Grenada, but yes, there is an alternative. There is the antigen test. The antigen test tests for proteins, molecules from the virus. The PCR tests for the DNA parts of the virus. So there are two broad categories of testing, the antigen test and the PCR test. The antigen test is a little bit more rapid. You get the results more immediate, but the results are a little less reliable. So I suppose they have both types of tests down there, but again, I'm not on island, so...
Yes, based on my knowledge, the both tests are available.
Yes, they both are. And the rapid test, because it is maybe less reliable than the PCR, it is less expensive than the PCR test. And according to the results of the rapid test, then you may need to do a PCR test in addition to it. But they're both,
Right,
yes, they're both available in Grenada. Before we go back to the landlines, let's take a break, and then we are going to come back and continue the discussion. We're speaking with primarily Dr. Beggs, answering some of the questions you may have in relation to COVID-19 and the vaccines, if that's what you would like to ask. This is To The Point on GBN and Classic. We'll be right back.
GBN, in association with the Grenada Development Bank and the Agricultural Shop, presents the GBN Exclusive, Taking Agriculture Forward, a two-part, 2-hour forum on August 11th and 18th from 8 p.m. on GBN Television 7 and 11. And on all GBN's social media platforms. This forum will discuss primary agriculture and opportunities, agricultural extension and support, challenges facing the sector, and policies and food system sustainability. Join us on August 11th and 18th as we speak to the experts on taking agriculture forward.
Hey folks, you're invited to tune in to Grenada Music to the World program, hosted by Eugene Gittins on Saturday mornings from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9, Hot FM 98.5, 98.7, GBN TV, and all their social media platforms. The only totally local music program in Grenada, representing all genres of music. So it's Green's Music to the World on Saturday mornings from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on GBN with the music icon himself, Mr. Eugene Gittins. See you then.
Looking for that injection of vibes and energy, of course? Well, I've got just that. Hi, my name is Gary, Mr. Smooth, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Hot Morning Show on Hot 98.5, 98.7 FM. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 in the morning. I've got a healthy dose of your favorite and most infectious hits sampled with information, news, laughter, and all the other ingredients that go into making the hottest morning show on the radio. The Morning Heat. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit us up on WhatsApp, 435-7517. We've got topics, we've got discussions, calls, voice notes, and so much more. But I can't tell you everything. You gotta tune in. The Hot Morning Show on Hot FM 98.5, 98.7 with yours truly, Gary, Mr. Smooth. Kaboom!
There's no better way to start your day than with me on Good Morning Grenada. Covering everything you need to start your mornings off right. 6:35 a.m. on weekdays on all GBN platforms. Good Morning Grenada, adding a little blossom to your mornings.
GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11, K1. GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.
Welcome back to The Point. This morning we are speaking with Senator Roderick St. Clair as well as Dr. Donald Beggs. And really, Dr. Beggs is here to answer some of the questions you may have in relation to COVID-19 and possibly the vaccine. So we are facilitating that this morning. The landline number, once again, 435-2041. The WhatsApp number is also 435-2041. Please, only written messages on WhatsApp. And you can also ask your questions on Facebook and YouTube. Let's go back to the landline. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning, Blossom.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
All right, I want to ask the doctor a question, please, and I want him to give me an answer. All right, after you take the vaccine and you have after effect, what is the treatment that you all have for the after effect when the system is a bullying system to take the vaccine and you have an after effect? You have nothing to get from it. You may be feeling weak. You might have a short breath or something, and you have nothing and nobody to give you no advice about it. What are you really trying to tell the nation or the world? Because this is a serious problem, and the bullying people to take it, and they have no other alternative, no other excuse. Use the word that way, excuse to help you when you're not feeling to the way you're supposed to be feeling, right? And the thing about it, Power was saying yesterday, they are trying to tell Grenada and a whole. They have to be very careful and look out for the effect of that COVID. And yet, the plane is passing all over in the night, and all kind of people just coming in the country. So who really bringing in the COVID? The people who bringing it in, they don't going into it. It's the people on the outside who getting it. Because if you check it, you have 12 cases right now, and the 12 is imported cases, right? So let's get that straight. Doctor, I want you to give me that answer, please. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Dr. Beggs? Yes,
okay,
go ahead. Yeah. Yes, go ahead, doctor.
Okay. So, fair question, and I hear what he's saying. So just to go, if he has a reaction to the vaccine itself, like I just mentioned, that could be sort of a preempted by taking a dose of paracetamol, not before, but a little after he leaves the point of care. If it's a local health center or whatever, as soon as he gets home, we take like a dose of paracetamol if he has no contraindications. And that should mitigate some of that reactogenicity, that the adverse reaction that I spoke about earlier. Because again, it's the body reacting to an intruder, letting them know that we know you're around, sending signals to the body. So you get a little fatigue, a little weakness, a little fever, chills, and rest, fluids, and a little paracetamol. Don't take it before the vaccine, take it a little after the vaccine. So that should take care of the little reaction that you have in the peri-vaccination period. That shouldn't last up to more than 2 to 3 days. I think I heard him mention something about shortness of breath. So if you're having shortness of breath, that's a different matter entirely. And for that, you should report to your nearest health facility or see your physician about that. If it's just fatigue, just you feel tired, you want to lie down, or you have a little fever, a little chills, that's fine. You could just self-medicate with rest, fluids, and some paracetamol. But if you're talking about shortness of breath, if you're talking about headaches, severe headaches that persist, if you're talking about blurry vision, if you're talking about a strange rash, or easy bruising on your skin, if you're talking about abdominal pain, that I think you should pretty much head to your nearest healthcare facility or your treating physician, and they will have an idea how to handle your care. Because that's a little different to the normal adverse reaction that the body puts up just because of the intruder is in there. That could signal something more is going on in terms of adverse reaction.
And just to clarify, Doc, I understand it's not necessarily treating the vaccine, but you treat the symptoms. Like if you get a headache from after taking the vaccine, you take an quote-unquote normal tablet that you would for a normal headache. So it's treating the symptoms, and it's not necessarily you need to get special medication for treating the effects of the vaccine.
Yeah, that little vaccination period, let's say for the first 2 to 3 days after the vaccine, you have some people's immune system is different. Some people don't even have a reaction. So it just depends on how your makeup of your immune system or how your cells function. But if you do have like some fatigue, some weakness, you feel sleepy, you feel drowsy, then you can self-medicate. You could rest yourself, you could get some fluids, you could take Tylenol or paracetamol or Fenzik, whatever you have down there. But if you're talking about persistent headaches associated with blurry vision, associated with shortness of breath, associated with abdominal pain, like a rash on your body, that's easy bruising rash, especially if it's beyond the 3 days after the peri-vaccination period, that will signal something that you need further care for, and something that should be definitely reported to your doctor or the nearest healthcare facility.
All right. Somebody on Facebook is asking, can you please explain what is spike protein?
Right. So the spike protein, and I have a diagram of it on the slide. The spike protein is essentially is depicted as a projection of the vaccine itself. And it's thought that that's what attaches itself to the receptors on our various organs and trigger off the response. So this is the pathogenic part of the virus, if you will. That's the part that causes the virus to be aggressive to the body. So that's what the spike protein is about. So in the vaccine tricks the body to make it believe that there is an infection present by creating the spike protein. All right? So therefore, we build up this immunity, these antibodies, and this special type of white cells called T fighter cells, the T helper cells, cytotoxic T cells that are in the body and stand ready in case this intruder was to come back another time. We're ready to defend.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Hello?
Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I'm calling from Carrico, and I'm interested in asking Dr. Beggs 2 questions. The first one is, given that a farmer's market in Wuhan is now infamous, and it was at a farmer's market, what specific advice does he have for farmers and local hunters who are in touch with both animals as well as a lot of people through the farmer's market? Let's get that discussion back on farmers, and I want to hear a little bit more about what advice he has.
You said 2 questions. What's the next one?
The second one is, we understand that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, which is what the doctor had said. But given that many farmers are above age 50, do they fall into a more vulnerable group who should be prioritized for both vaccination and for follow-up medical support? In other words, we should be tracking them especially. You see the man who was talking about the fact that after he gets the vaccine, he had little aches and pains, he didn't know what to do, and so we should be tracking them especially. Again, both questions are linked because they are in touch with wild animals. If you're a local hunter, And the same thing for the farmers. They may think that they're out solitary inside of a field, dealing with their lacatan or whatever, but they're coming back to farmers markets. So the questions are both focused more on farmers, I guess, in the context of Senator Roderick, and what advice specifically Dr. Beggs can give to farmers and hunters. I appreciate your sharing.
Thank you very much, caller. Doctor?
Okay, thank you for your question. Very, very good question. So if I take the latter first, anybody in the age group above 50, above 60, should be definitely eligible for the vaccine. By virtue of your age, it makes you in a higher risk category for a poor outcome from contracting COVID. So if you're talking about a farmer, not by virtue of his job, because his job is usually out in the open and he's usually by himself, so not by his occupation. I don't think his occupation put him at risk. But I think if you're talking about farmers above the age of 50, and now they're younger farmers, so the farmers above the age of 50, yes, by virtue of his age, he should be eligible for the vaccine and should be in the category of people who should be encouraged to have the vaccine based on his age, not based on his profession. Now, the other question, that's a little bit more nuanced, the first question. Now, the WHO did a study in the Wuhan area, and there was no conclusive data that the Wuhan market was associated with the spread of the COVID. That's so we were told. So I think that's still a little inconclusive. But in a broad sense, the theory is that COVID could be what's called a zoonotic disease, meaning that spread by animals. And it could have come, I think they're thinking the culprit is a bat, so it could have come directly from the bat to humans, or it could have come via an intermediate animal from bats to another animal to humans. Now, that has not been proven because there are some people saying it probably came from the lab. I'm not in a position to say which is correct. I know other organizations are looking into that, and they will let us know what the theory is. So if it's that what you're talking about, I don't know if farmers in Grenada, Carrick, are specifically risk for COVID just by nature of being a farmer. They're talking about bats. As far as I know, bats come out in the nighttime. I don't know if it's the same variety of bats that we have in Grenada, they have in Wuhan. And I don't think farmers get too much in contact with bats. So that the first question is fair to say I'm not. It's a very good question, but I'm not. It's a little bit nebulous. So the answer is a little bit nebulous.
All right, let me go back to WhatsApp. Somebody asked, in these COVIDious times, do you think the government should have all individuals who died suddenly without medical problems should be tested for COVID?
Yeah, I'm not in a position to elaborate on that. That's something that the health authorities down there will decide how they want to proceed with that. But if a patient dies and the family requests an autopsy, if the reason for death is inconclusive, if the doctors didn't have a clear cause of death, then they request an autopsy, and the autopsy probably could help them out. But you don't even need to do an autopsy to have COVID. You could just do a blood test or a nasal test. So I'm not sure how they go forward that.
Another WhatsApp question: what causes myocarditis with AstraZeneca? I hope I got it.
So the myocarditis is usually, in simple terms, is just swelling of the heart muscle. It's a swelling of the heart muscle. And the association is not so much with AstraZeneca COVID. It's more with the messenger type RNA vaccines, the Pfizer and the Moderna. And it's usually in younger males, more predominant in younger males, and within the first 2 to 3 weeks after the vaccine. So myocarditis is a swelling of the heart muscle. It's usually self-limited. It's something that can happen ordinarily with some viruses that we come in contact with, and it's usually self-limiting and not a problem. But I'm not sure if it's so much associated with the AstraZeneca type. It's more with the messenger type RNA vaccine, Pfizer and the Moderna.
Back to the landline. Good morning, caller.
A pleasant good morning to you. No, Doc, I am still not satisfied with the answers given when people take the vaccine and their reaction, blood clot, etc. And I try to explain. Now, in my childhood days, all right, boils come out on your skin and all the rest of it, other things happen. And the old people say, well, look, your blood dirty. And as a result, you need a washout. I want to know, if the one takes the vaccine, today you're talking about the immune system, and okay, things don't go right. The taking the vaccine, you have certain reaction, blood clot, or even death. Is this the same thing as immune system, etc., etc.? I hope my question is understood.
Is it understood, Doc?
No, the blood clot is it's a different thing. The blood clot is basically it's like a clot blocking the circulation. It could be in your arteries, it could be in your veins. So that's a blood clot.
Just
now,
hold on a minute.
The immune system is a system of cells in the body that fight diseases as they try to enter. So there are different types of white cells, and there are different type of antibodies secreted by the white cells that try to fight the virus or the bacteria as they enter the body. And sometimes they have memory cells that hold memory. So if this type of viruses or bacteria come back again, they're ready to fight them off. So that's the immune system. The clots is a different thing. And there are different types of clots from the vaccine as opposed to the regular type of clots. Usually we have a swelling in our leg, and we have a clot in the vein of the leg, and the leg swells up and it gets red and hot. So that's what a clot is. It's sort of a block the circulation in the veins, but it's different to the immune system.
Caller, you still there?
Yes. The thing about it, I'm still not on understanding because, okay, personally, I have taken the vaccine, and absolutely nothing has happened to me. No fever, no anything. I make sure I eat properly. I don't take alcohol. I don't smoke, etc. And I am of the understanding, well, all right, health-wise, my immune system, etc., is in readiness and order, and as a result, receive the vaccine with no side effects. I want to know if one takes the vaccine and is not living a healthy life. Let me bring it down to that stage. Would there be a certain reaction taking the vaccine? This is all I want to know.
Thank you, caller. Doc?
Yeah, but that's what we want. You did well, caller. You've had the vaccine. You had no reaction. So that's exactly what we're saying. Most people take the vaccine and there was no reaction to it. So that's fine. So this is what we want. This is what we think should be happening. In a very small percentage of the time, very, very rare, some people have a predisposition. There is a statistical link. And even that is in question. It's not conclusively linked that there's a causal relationship with the clots and the vaccine. But there is a statistical tendency. Usually, if we take the British data, I think they report about 8 clots per million. And the usual population, we have about 5 clots per million. So statistically, there's a little more tendency for clots to form after having the vaccine. But then there's a causal relationship, and it's another thing. But in the interest of good precaution, people should be warned about it and told about it. But most people have the vaccine, and very, very few people have any side effects. So this caller is in good stead.
It's time for us to end the program, but let me quickly ask. Somebody on WhatsApp is asking, how effective is AstraZeneca, since that's the only vaccine in Grenada at the time? How effective is AstraZeneca to the Delta variant? And yes, ask that one. Well, there was another question. Could blood donors take the vaccine?
Right, so AstraZeneca actually has a good effect in terms of preventing serious disease and deaths. So it's still, I think, about 85 to 90% effectiveness in preventing serious disease with hospitalization and deaths. For symptomatic disease, I think it's a different story. You can still get a mild infection with the Delta, having taken the AstraZeneca. So you can still get a mild infection. But in terms of prevention against severe disease and death, AstraZeneca is still very, very useful, 85 to 90%. Now, which brings up another point that there probably should be, and I know the COVAX facility is probably going to earmark a couple of billion doses of the vaccine for the Caribbean. So hopefully that comes on stream pretty soon. So people can have this whole question of choice. So if they have a reservation about one type of vaccine, they think it doesn't work too much, or they think it's a side effect or a problem, then they have a choice of selecting a different type of vaccine. So hopefully the COVAX facility will kick in sooner rather than later. And, I think they have earmarked 2 billion doses. And I know recently the U.S. government earmarked some doses. I don't know if Grenada is in there. I think Trinidad and St. Vincent, a couple of the islands. And the other thing is the whole question of waiving the intellectual property of this other type of vaccine, so there could be more mass production of these vaccines. So the whole vaccine inequality could be evened out, and people have access to all the different types of vaccines. So if they have reservations to one, they could switch to another one. So I think that will help.
And can blood donors take the vaccine?
Can blood donors take the vaccine?
Yes.
Yeah, it's no reason why they can't. Yeah.
All right. Doc, Senator St. Clair, we've come to the end of the program, but I must say this has been enlightening. And Dr. Beggs, I would definitely like to invite you back on a future program to answer some of the other questions that we have. I still have some on the WhatsApp I haven't gotten to as yet, as well as the Facebook. So we'll organize and have you back on the program at soonest, because I think this is something that Grenadians have been calling for, to get a non-partisan view on COVID-19 and vaccination. So we would definitely arrange to have you back as your schedule allows.
Okay, thank you very much, Blossom. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me on your program. And again, I commend both of you guys for the work you're trying to do to bring everybody up to speed on the information about the virus, and everybody should try to stay safe. It's better to prevent the COVID rather than treating it. And of all these things, the holy grail is taking the vaccine, because sometimes it's not tenable to have full compliance with the mask. So if you have a vaccine and you know that you have protection against severe disease and death, which wouldn't burden the island, it wouldn't be an economic burden, it wouldn't be a health burden or a social burden. So. Again, thank you very much to you guys, and good morning to all the audience. Good morning to Ladig.
I was about to ask, because there are two people. Somebody on WhatsApp asks if you are from Ladig, and somebody on Facebook asks if you went to St. Mary's RC in Lafayette.
Yes. Yes to both.
Yes to both. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Dr. Beggs.
And Paraclete. And good morning to Paraclete, too.
We'll definitely arrange to get you back on a future program in soon time. Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
And Senator St. Clair, thank you for facilitating this morning's session. It was your idea. You linked me up with Dr. Beggs, so I appreciate your input this morning, as always.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the rest.
You're welcome. So we do that soon. Yes. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your Thursday to the both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Dr. Donald Beggs, a medical doctor of Grenadian heritage, and of course, farmers and fisherfolk representative in the Senate, Senator Roderick St. Clair. Thank them both. I know there are questions on the WhatsApp that I haven't gotten to as yet, but when Dr. Beggs returns, I will pose them to him on your behalf, and we can answer some more of your questions in relation to COVID-19 and vaccination. That's the end of the program and the end of my time for today. Enjoy the rest of your thankful Thursday. Janelle is up next with the mid-morning buzz. Bye-bye, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, God willing.